This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, we had the last sessions all about SDLC phases we have, right? So there was an initial phase, analysis, designing, development, testing, delivery, and maintenance. So these were the phases we had our discussions over there, right? So the next discussion is all about, we need to talk is models of SDLC, where I said combination of phases is called life cycle model reset. So organizations will use any one of the model. There are plenty of models over there. We are going to go with the few models over here, right? So models, uh, organizations will select any one of the models to develop a product or a project. Now, selection is all dependent based on requirements and the project size. So selection of model is dependent on project size and requirements, right? So from those models, first we'll talk about very old one and regularly used by the organizations over there called as waterfall model over here. Now, first thing when we hear about waterfall, so what is it we get into our mindset? That is water tumbling from top to the bottom, from the top hill to the bottom. In the similar manner, the phases are arranged in a sequential manner, right? Phases are, I'll put like this in a pointwise for you, right? Phases are arranged in sequential manner. That is, one phase output will be input to another phase, right? So that is the procedure. I have some images downloaded from the Google for you. Right. Here is your waterfall model, right? Where you start from your requirements phase, requirements, analyzing it, designing it, implementation, testing, delivery, and maintenance. So this is how it starts from the beginning till the end of the process, right? It is not going to stop from anywhere in the middle. Once it has been given, requirements have been finalized, it is going to be continued till the end of the process. No way stopping anywhere in the middle, right? That is the nature of this application called as waterfall model over here, right? So that is what we said. Phases are arranged in sequential manner. One phase output will be input to another phase, right? So here, which kind of applications we can go with, which kind of projects we can go for this waterfall model is, can use for smaller projects and requirements are constant. The conditions apply is the project should be small and the requirement should be constant. Then only we can apply for a waterfall. Sorry, we can go for a waterfall model kind of a process over here. Right. Now you probably thinking saying that today the requirements have given so and so. So we cannot assume that to what happens tomorrow. Now client mindset, we cannot judge anything. Today he has given one set of requirements. By the time it is getting under the process, tomorrow he wants to give the changes of requirements, right? It is not allowing. Mainly it is not allowing anywhere in the middle of the process, right? If any changes to be done, the entire project needs to be started from the initial phases over here, right? I'll put one condition like this for you. The requirements cannot change in the middle of the process. But if any changes need to start from initial phase, right? This is what waterfall model is all about. So it will allow the changes, but you need to start from the initial phases again. That means end of the day you're starting the entire project once again from the scrap onwards, right? It is not allowing to do the changes over here anywhere in the middle of the process, right? So that is one nature of this particular model called as waterfall, right? Now our testing responsibility, once the coding part is being completed, it is given to you test engineers. Our task is to find out some defects. So defects found in the SDLC phases, we said defects found will be sent back to the developers for the sake of rectification, we said. Now in this case, if the defects found, what do we do now? Anywhere, any phase, any defect is being raised, it will be sent back to the initial phases again in the process, right? So that is what it is, testing phase. Waterfall we said. Now we cannot return it back, right? Or the water does not go back. The water keeps on flowing till the end of the process. Anywhere issues happening, we need to send it back to the initial phases again over there. So that is how this model works on to, right? So we have a lot of drawbacks. Does this model have an advantage? Fine. We'll talk about the advantage later on. First thing is drawbacks I'm talking about. We'll talk about drawbacks. Drawback is based on this particular line, right? Not suitable for large application. That is the reason over there, right? And the other point is it is a step-by-step nature of application. It is a step-by-step nature of process. In the step-by-step, it is always the drawback of time taken process, right? Time taken process. And we said we cannot change any requirements in the middle of the process. That is another drawback. Does not allow any changes in requirements in middle of process. And the last drawback, any more drawbacks you find over here, right? So in these models, which is the phase, in this model, which is the phase plays a vital role over here. The main role is all dependent on this in this phase over here, requirements or initial phase, right? So based on that, we will put another drawback. Any mistake in initial phase will be continued till the end of the process, right? Because the requirements are being finalized over here. So you made a mistake. You prepared a BRS document wrong. So what happens? It will be continued till the end of the process. So at the client level, what is happening? He is using a wrong application because you have developed it wrong, you delivered it wrong, and you even tested wrong, you developed it wrong. End of the day, it comes back saying that requirements initial phases have prepared a wrong application, wrong requirements. So that is what it is. Any mistake in the analysis requirements analysis phase will be continued till the end of the process. So that is the drawback we put there. And from these drawbacks, which is the major drawback you consider as? I'll consider is the third, because requirements. We are working, the entire organization is working based on client requirements only, right? And when we are not giving any flexibility for those requirements, it does not make any sense, right? We will give that as an advantage, that as a major drawback over here, right? We have discussed about a lot of drawbacks, but what about the advantage? Does this model have any advantage? Yes or no? Now you can consider this as an advantage. Smaller projects and requirements are constant. That I will put it as a condition apply. Right? It is a conditions apply. Now we cannot assume that client is always has to come always with a smaller project with a constant requirements. So today you came down to learn manual and Selenium. Tomorrow some XYZ starts. So your requirements change. Your company told you to do learn this income, so you start learning that, start working again. So this is how it goes on. Requirements keep on changing. So that you cannot consider it as an advantage. You consider it as a conditions kind of a thing, right? But the advantage is can be used for simple and easy kind of an application. That is the advantage we can go with. If the application is simple and easy to use, we'll approach for a waterfall model, right? So this is the nature of this model, life cycle model called as waterfall. But the major drawback we were talking about in the drawbacks, the major drawback, it is not allowing any changes in the requirements, right? Now, in order to overcome this drawback, we come down to another model called as prototype. The first thing, what is the meaning of this prototype? Now you can Google it, you get a lot of meanings over there. Simulator, right? Dummy, you can use, right? Kind of an example. There are a lot of terms you can get it of this, right? Prototype, simulator, and we are talking about simulator, right? It is similarly to that kind of an application, but it is not even in a functionality situation. Right? I'll put one line like this for you, right? It is a dummy model of application which shouldn't contain any functionality. Now, when there is no functionality, what does it we will do here? Right. It does not make any sense. We cannot do testing until you people start telling that we cannot do any testing in that, this and that, right? But it will contain functionality when client gets satisfied. So it is a dummy model of application which shouldn't contain any functionality till client gets satisfied. So that is what it is. So once the client approval has given us, then we can go with this. That means when requirements are given anywhere in the middle of the process of changes of any requirements, so we are giving that flexibility to overcome, right? I have one of the image for you. Right. Here's your prototype model. So requirements are being gathered, analyzed, a quick design of a prototype, right? A dummy model, a simulator you can call it as, and giving it for the customer evaluation. That means we are giving customer is going to do some testing. Now whether he does it on his own or he has his team, that is secondary. We don't want to talk about that. So he does the testing or doing a testing, a dummy testing in front of client. If the client accepts it, then we go for the actual process. If the customer is not accepted or any changes to be done, so those changes to be done in a prototype and then given it to the evaluation, customer evaluation. So this keeps on circling around till when customer is accepted over there, right? So that is what it is, the line where we are overcoming one of the drawback of waterfall model. For that purpose, we are using a prototype model. The rest of the part is similar over here, right? That is what we are putting it as. Any term you can put, simulator, dummy, example, right? Dummy we are talking about, you can take an example of a mobile phone. You go to a mobile store, right? When you ask for a so-and-so mobile, they will never give you the actual product, right? They give you a dummy phone. Now when you go to a big electronic stores, they give you an actual product, that is different issue, but normal thinking, normal retailers we are talking about, right? You go to a mobile store, they give you a dummy, and what do you do with the dummy? A prototype, right? Your requirement is to buy a mobile phone. So based on your requirements, you said I want a smartphone with a 5 inches of screen, with a so-and-so RAM, with 5 cameras, 10 cameras, whatever cameras you want. So based on that, he keeps on giving you a dummy phone in front of you. Now, you are supposed to do evaluation. As a customer, you are supposed to do an evaluation on the dummy. So what is it you will be doing testing on that? So you will be doing testing on the dummy. Probably you have done those processes, if at all you remember those days, right? So you are supposed to do testing, customer testing of prototype. What did we test over there? Yeah, that's what we said. Till your satisfaction, as a customer satisfaction, it keeps on doing that circling down. But as a client, what did I do testing on that dummy product? There is no functionality. Yes, the functionality is over here. So you as a test engineer, you'll be testing functionality over here. But as a client point of view, what is it you will test? Now you cannot say there is no testing, nothing can be done. If it is nothing can be done, then why did they design it like this? I will do a look and feel aspects over here. So you remember, like we used to catch hold of a mobile, turn around, upside down, check for the weight, the dimensions, is the brand logo available or not, the naming. So how is it looking like? Right? Entirely you were doing some look and feel aspects because there was no functionality available. Right? So you did only a look and feel aspect. Now you are not satisfied. What is the retailer doing now? He takes it out, gives you another phone, another prototype built, give it to you. So this process keeps on happening till when? Till customer is accepted over there with the dummy. So this is a mobile. I have taken an example, right? So I can take a lot of examples also on anything, like if at all you are into an aviation college, you're joining as a pilot training for your aeroplanes over here, right? Aeroplanes, they give you a training, right? So in your practical sessions over there, they will not make you sit. What do you call it? They will never make you sit at the very first day itself onto the actual flight. They make you sit into a dummy, right? Now you'll be having that entire cockpit of a flight as a prototype, right? There's a screen playing for you over there, and you feel that you are actually flying an actual flight, but you are into a dummy, right? Till you get that kind of an experience over there. Nowadays, even in the driving schools also, they are using some prototype models, like Maruti Suzuki company, the driving school, they are giving you a prototype, not directly making you sit onto the actual car, right? So that you can get this feel of those controls. And when you sit into the actual car, it makes it easy for you to work on. So like this, I can use a lot of examples. But when we come down into the software side, right, we are into an IT sector, then what is the example I need to use for this? Example, I'll be using some PowerPoint presentation I'll be using. You call it as PPT, you call it as, right? You ask for me a website, so I'll be designing an entire thing. Now you can consider this, what do you call, paint diagram, the JPG image also as a PowerPoint, sorry, what do you call it? A dummy itself. Now consider this as a web page for you. Now I'll be explaining it you as a client, so I'm as an analyst, I'll be giving you a demo, right? I'm giving you a demo. Sir, ma'am, your web page is like this, the logos over here, there are some images like contact us, that, this and all, and student or the person can register from here, something all. I'll be just explaining it because this is just a JPG file, right? If there are multiple screens, then I'll be putting it into my PowerPoint presentation also for you, right? So when I'm explaining it, it will be easy for you to do it over there, right? Where it will be easy for you to understand, and you can evenly go ahead for the product over the development process, right? So that is what I'll be using it for my PowerPoint presentation. Now, when I'm using it in this case, for which kind of an applications I can go with? Can use for still smaller applications, and requirements can change because we are overcoming one of the drawback over here. Requirements can change. Now changes, whereas over here we said conditions changes to be done only in analysis phase, right? That is what we were setting, right? Changes to be done only in analysis phase. But when it comes over here, we are changing the requirements, but only in dummy model. That means when the prototype is building it, any changes to be done, it has to be done within this circle itself, right? It is not going to continue till the evaluation is been accepted by the customer, right? Once it is accepted, then you can see the rest of the part is all your waterfall model only. Goes for the designing, coding, testing, and end of the day, maintenance over here, right? So one line I'll put it like this. So we go after the customer evaluation is done, customer acceptance is done. So we continue with the waterfall model of the process, right? So in the waterfall model, we had some drawbacks. In a similar way, we have drawbacks over here also. I'll put it like this. Drawbacks for the prototype model. Now, what kind of drawbacks? The same, right? Now, you people can ask me, why can't we go with a larger application when we are talking about a prototype? Now, first thing, let us make clear about what is a larger application and what is a smaller application. I'll open web pages for you. Regular web page you people are comfortable with, that is Google web page, right? Now, what is it you consider with? Is this a larger web page or a smaller web page? My Google search page is a larger web page or a smaller web page? I will even compare this Google search engine, right? You have got the idea about the functionality of the Google search, right? Just type something or the other, right? It will give you a search engine options over there from the database, right? In the similar manner, okay, it is a larger application. You said one of your person has said is larger application. Now, how do you consider this as a large page? Fine, I was evenly comparing with another page older than Google. This is Yahoo. Now, Yahoo also search. Now I'll type the same thing, live score. Now as someone else is being tied up with Yahoo, so it shows their URL link in the first descriptions. The same thing we can do here. Already I have it over here, right? The same thing, ESPN Cricket Info is being tied up, so they are paying highly over here to the Google, so it has been over here on the first page. Right. Now, when I'm comparing these two pages, Google with Yahoo, which is your larger web page in this case? You still go with the Google as a large page? Or Yahoo is the larger one? I said Google is smaller page when it has been compared to Yahoo, because I'm not comparing Google with all these multiple applications, right? I'm not talking about all these applications. I'm only talking about my Google search page, right? So Yahoo is the larger one comparing to the Google's search. I'm not talking evenly about Google's database also. So mostly or up to 100%, Yahoo is also maintaining the maximum database over here, right? Right. So Yahoo is also maintaining a database evenly like your Google itself. But when you see here, Yahoo has lot of content on the page itself. So this page, designing a prototype, not even talking about the actual process, designing this page in a prototype, which is difficult for us to do it comparing to our Google. You can see Google has 70 to 80% page is empty. So it is easy for us to design this. There's nothing much there. There's no graphics on this page. It is simple, right? So it is easy for us to work onto this Google page rather than our Yahoo, right? So that is how these pages are being calculated. So where I'm talking about that is what I'm talking about, not suitable for larger application. And it is much more time taken comparing to your waterfall model. Why? Why it is much more time taken comparing to waterfall model? We said waterfall model is a time taken process, and we are making prototype evenly much more time taken, because it has to keep on continuing in the prototype till the customer is accepted, right? Till then, I need to just keep on doing some prototype dummy designs only over here, right? So that is why it is much more time taken over here. Okay. And any more else drawbacks you find it over here? So in the waterfall model, we put a drawback of any mistake in initial phase. That means the requirements phase or the initial phase, requirements analysis will take time. That was the drawback which we have put it in waterfall model drawback. But we are talking about requirements have been finalized, but designing it keeps on continuing the prototype design. For that purpose, I mentioned this drawback like this there, right? It is a time taken process till the I'll evenly make it clear for you like this. Put it in bracket. Building prototype takes longer time because it has to be accepted. Till then, it has to continue the designing practice. Right. We'll come down to another last drawback here. So we made initial phase as a vital phase in waterfall model. In that case, then which is the phase plays a vital role in this prototype model? which is the main phase in the waterfall prototype model. It is all about the designing phase. That means even after the acceptance of the customer, if the designing has done any mistake, right, in this particular phase, designing after the acceptance is done, any mistake in designing will be continued till end of process, right? So we are talking about designing, which that is after the customer evaluation is been done, right? Customer evaluation which has been accepted, customer evaluation which has been accepted. After the acceptance, the designing, the actual designing pattern has to be done. So that is the phase which plays a vital role. Even though after the acceptance is done, he makes a mistake, that continues till the end of the process. That is what it is specifies over here, right? Any mistake in the process designing phase will continue till the end of the process, right? So both look similar because both are in a step-by-step processes over here, right? So waterfall model can be used for a smaller projects, but requirements should be constant. Conditions apply again in that. Changes can be done, but only in the requirements of analysis phase itself over here, right? So that is what we put it over here, right? And drawbacks are not suitable for larger application, time taken process, because the pointers, every phase has to wait till the previous is completed. The reason behind the time taken, because I put one reason over here for time taken on the prototype, I'll put another reason for this waterfall. Every phase has to wait till the completion of previous, right? So that is what it is saying, and does not allow changes in the middle of the process. Whereas initial phase plays a vital role, because he makes a mistake, everybody continues the same mistake, right? So from this waterfall model, we are just overcoming this particular drawback. The rest of the part is same, and we are calling it as a prototype model. We are talking about simulators, dummies, a word called example, you can use it, right? It is used when the smaller applications and requirements can change, but only in the dummy we said, right? And the dummy of application should not contain any functionality till when client gets satisfied over there. So that is what we have put, client satisfied, then the actual process begins. Till then, there is a dummy process continuously happening over here, right? So that was your two models, waterfall model and a prototype model are your step-by-step models over here, right? Put like this, waterfall model, prototype model, and evenly the fish model also. These three models are your step-by-step models, right? These are step-by-step process. So we'll talk about the next step-by-step process, that is fish model. All right. Now, why the term we are using fish over here, fish model? When we arrange the phases in that manner, you will get an image of a fish, where I have that image also for you, right? Right. So you can see over here, it is all about fish model. So starting from the requirements gathering, where I'm doing some reviewing, analyzing it, reviewing it. So end of the day, fish model is a model where we conduct review process at the end of every phase. Now, what is mean by review? What is mean by review? Is it not clear now? Is my voice clear, everybody? Yeah, Mr. Gopal, is my voice clear? So we are talking about fish model where we are conducting a review process at the end of every phase. Now, what is mean by review? Reviewing. This word I used it in our very first day session regarding meanings. Yes, cross-checking. So I gave this word as a meaning for testing, checking, reviewing. I gave it over there, right? So that is what it is. We are doing some cross verification of the particular phase, what is happening over there. So in the requirements gathering phase, what did happen, so that we need to do some reviewing. In the requirements phase, it was all about requirements gathering and preparing some documents. That means every phase of documents needs to be reviewed over here. So that is the image shows you. Requirements gathering, BRS document prepared, so that I'm doing some reviewing. Analysis, where I'm preparing an FRS or an SRS document, I'll be doing some reviewing of it. Then I come down to designing. I do some HLD document and LLD document, high level design and a low level design, where I'm talking about a TDD review over here, right? Where I'm doing a TDD review. I will approve it, go to the development coding, where I'm preparing a source code document, where we'll be doing some white box testing. I'll come down to that. Black box, white box testing, I'll come down to that. Need not worry. But what is the actual testing we are going to do in coding phase? In the testing, we are doing system testing. System testing gives us clear that you are doing some, sorry, not some, you are doing a complete testing over here. Now, at the delivery and maintenance, we discussed about test software changes, right? But what we are doing in what kind of testing technique we are conducting in coding phase? The method we are talking about, white box testing. Under the white box testing, we'll be talking about that testing technique. But in your previous discussions, I have gave you developers perform some testing technique. What is that some testing technique over here? As a developer, I am going to do my unit testing. First day we have discussed who all does the testing is. We named test engineer, right? We are doing system testing. That is where we spoken about, had a discussion, functional performance, writing test cases and scripts and so on. Whereas developers perform unit testing, right? So that is the line I have written it for you. Unit testing, to ensure the syntax errors are clear and the program's coding standards are written properly, right? For that purpose, I put it as unit testing over here, right? So that is what your fish model is. We conduct a review process at the end of every phase over here, right? Now, so if at all you see, we are working on documentation completely. So I'll put verification phases from the initial till the end of the process, right? But I put only validation from coding till the maintenance level. Now, what is mean by this? Anyways, just verification and validation is going to come in your V model over there. We'll be talking about that V model. Here you can see verification and validation, right? Verification is all about documentation. Validation is all about testing. You see all the terms are being put testing, right? It's all about documentation part over here. The same thing it is happening over here. Verification is all about documentation part. But testing, the actual testing is being done only from the coding phase itself over here, right? So that is how they are put over here, verification activities and the validation activity, right? So that is your fish model actually working on to, right? I said conduct review process at the end of each and every phase over here. And any points we can put over here? Can select this model if the project is smaller in size and requirements keep on changing at where there is any conditions like waterfall model and prototype model, changing anywhere in the process. So that is what we can evenly do, because anywhere any updations are done, so we will update the document right within that phase itself and then carry forward into the next phase over here. So for that purpose we can allow changes anywhere in the middle of the process over. That was your point in your fish model. Right. Now, what is the advantage when we have this multiple reviewing process happening, and what is the drawback you have it over here? So I have an advantage of minimum level of quality can be delivered, right? We are talking about minimum. Now do not get confused. Maximum, we need to give the quality delivery maximum. Yes, we are able to deliver maximum level of quality, but minimum, right? When you come down to this organization, the minimum is you will be getting a subject. The maximum is we'll make sure you get this subject so and so standards over. So that is what it is. Minimum level I am able to deliver a quality. But what is the drawback here? Is it a time taken process? Yes, it is. It is much more time taken evenly comparing, because until unless my reviewing is not approved, the next phase will not begin in the process over here, right? So that is why it is much more time taken comparing to your waterfall and to your prototype model over here, right? So this is how your fish model is to work as a process, right? Now for this, we'll just do some modifications, turn around, we can get a V model over here. We call talking about verification and validation. Simultaneous processes are happening. Requirements gathering, system analyzing it, designing it, module designing, coding, and doing some testing, unit testing, integration, system, and acceptance, right? So simultaneously requirements are gathered. You're doing some acceptance testing. So you can put it as acceptance test designing, system analysis, system testing designing over here, right? So that is what you are doing simultaneously, right? Development process and the testing processes are done simultaneously. That is why we are talking about, one second. Right, we'll continue here. So we are talking about a V model where we are doing simultaneous works of verification and validation over here. Right. So verification activities are requirements gathering, analyzing, designing, module designing, coding. Right. Now you probably start thinking about, so you said like in a fish model at the coding phase, developers are doing unit testing. Now, unit testing is being done by developers or is it done by test engineers? You might get a doubt raised over here. So I say unit testing, it is done evenly by developers when they are doing coding and evenly by test engineers because only that particular module is being developed by them. So you will only do module testing as per that particular program, for that only particular module which is being developed. So you can evenly put it as unit testing evenly done by test engineers, right? So they are doing unit testing for their programs verification. We test engineers are doing unit testing for the outputs to be executed. So you can call it as unit testing, component, part, module testing, however you can use a lot of words for this, right? Similarly, you combine them, calling it as integration and putting it as integration testing. And finally, we need to do a complete testing where we calling it as system testing and deliver the product so that our customers should accept that particular product over here, right? So that is how this V model works onto, right? I'll put some lines for you like this. V model, also called as verification and validation. That means verification is what? Verification is to build the product in right process. I'll put it like this. Verification is to build the product in the right process. Now, whereas validation is to build the right product for testing. So verify whether the product is being developed properly or not. And later you, test engineers, validate the product is tested correctly and delivered. So that is what those two lines are called as, verification and validation. Now, during this process, like the validation and the verification simultaneously happening, right? We can approach for a better quality delivery of the product. Right, I'll put one line like this. I'll put like this, can deliver better quality product compared to other SDLC models, previous models, where I'm comparing to those three rest of the models over here, right? So that is how it is. We are talking about quality delivery because whichever part is being done simultaneously, it is being done some testing then and there itself, right? So for that purpose, we are talking about can deliver a better quality comparing to your previous models, right? And what is the advantage you get over here? The advantage is, as you can say, quality delivering. So I'll put even apart from that, can be used for large application as well as along with the quality delivery. So drawback. Now what is it? I'll put it as expensive to implement. So that is what your V model is all about. So V model is evenly called as a simultaneous process. Simultaneous process. So we have spoken about step-by-step processes, right? And a simultaneous process. The next two models will be what do you call? Spiral and agile are your one second. Spiral and agile model are your what do you call? I just forgot the word over here. Sorry. I'll come down to the spiral and agility in tomorrow's session. I'm facing some issues with the system right now. Right. I'll be closing this session over here.